We continue now at the top of Daf Chavtes Amud Aleph in Meseches Kiddushin. This is Kiddushin Daf 29a. The Gemara is discussing the differences between kinyanim when it comes to regular people and kinyanim when it comes to hektish. By hektish, a person can simply pronounce that something belongs to hektish. He can be makdish it, and it then belongs to hektish. Whereas by a hedyot, by a regular individual, at sheyimshoch v'yachzik, the person actually has to do a mashicha. He has to make a physical kinyan in order to take possession. Rashi says at sheyimshoch b'shor. For example, if you're talking about an axe, you would do mashicha. You would pull it, draw it near. V'yachzik, and here yachzik means bebayis. Let's say it's a house, so you do the kinyan chazaka that you generally do on something like land. And the Gemara continues, Mashcho b'mana v'lo hispik lifdoso ad she'omad b'masayim. Let's say somebody, he does a meshicha, he's redeeming something from hektish, redeeming something from the Beis HaMikdash, and when he does the meshicha, he's intending on redeeming it for a moneh, which is 100 dinar, but he doesn't actually get a chance to redeem it, and now it's already worth 200, so no sein masayim, so now he has to pay the 200. Hektish gets the benefit in this case. My time, what's the reason? V'nasan hakesef v'kam lo, because it says that he has to give the money in order for it to be a redemption, and therefore he hasn't paid yet. Now it's worth 200, he has to pay 200. Let's say you have the reverse case, Mashcho b'masayim v'lo hispik lifdoso ad she'omad b'moneh. Let's say he pulls it, he does the kinyan for 200, but then he doesn't get a chance to give the money, and now it actually went down in value, it's only a moneh, but still, no sin masayim, he still has to give 200. My time, what's the reason? Lo yehei koach hedyot chomer mehektish, because you can't make the strength of a regular individual more than the strength of hektish. By a regular individual, once you do mashicha, and it's worth 200, you'd be obligated to pay 200. So since you'd have to pay 200 to a hedyot, you have to pay 200 to hektish as well. Pedo b'masayim, let's say he redeems it for 200. In this case, he gave the money first, and he didn't do the mashicha. So he first gave the 200, v'lo hispik l'moshcho ad she'amad b'moneh. He didn't get a chance to do the kinyan, the mashicha, until it was worth 100. No sein masayim. In this case, again, he has to give the 200, the higher amount. My time, what's the reason? V'nasan hakesef v'kamlo. Again, when the pasuk talks about redeeming from hektish, it says you give the money, that's the way you redeem. And so the giving of the money, in this case the 200, is going to be the redemption. And let's say you have the reverse case, pedo b'moneh, let's say he redeems it for 100, again, he's giving the money first, v'lo hispik l'moshcho ad she'amad b'masayim, but he doesn't get a chance to do the kinyan, to do the mashicha until it's worth 200. So in this case is the one case where he actually benefits mashe podoi. That which he redeemed, he only has to give the money. He doesn't have to give any more. Ve'ein nosin ela money. He doesn't have to give any more than a money. And the Gemara says, Amai, why should that be the case? Hachanami over here also, Nema, we should say as follows. Lo yehei koach hedyot chomer mihektish, that the strength of a regular individual should not be more than hektish. In other words, by a regular individual, the kinyan is actually made when you do a mashicha, when you do an actual physical kinyan on the object. So over here, he hasn't really made the kinyan yet. He's only given the money. He's given 100. He didn't do the mashicha. By the time he does the mashicha, it's already worth 200, so he should have to give 200. But the Gemara says it's not really true. Atu hedyot, because what do we find by a hedyot? Don't we find by a hedyot, lav v'mishapara koi, doesn't he stand to be punished with a mishapara? What the Gemara here is referring to is, this is from the Gemara in Bava Metzia. The Gemara in Bava Metzia says that if somebody pays for something, and he does not end up he doesn't do a kinyan mashicha right away, so the halacha is that the seller is not allowed to renege on the deal. That's called mishapara. The one who punishes from the door hamabel, meaning HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who punished the door hamabel, will punish an individual who goes back after the money has already been given. And so therefore, since there's a mishapara by a hedyot, there is a certain finality, even though it's not a final kinyan, but there's a certain finality once the money is given. And so therefore, by hektish as well, when the money was given, when 100 was given, when the money was given, there is a certain finality to it. And even if it goes up in value, it's now worth 200 before the mashicha, still the redemption is going to be good. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Kol mitzvahs habein al ha'av. Anytime you have a mitzvah of the son that is upon the father, the Gemara will explain exactly what this means. Anoshim chayavin v'noshim peturo. So men are chayiv and women are pater. Essentially what that means to say is the fathers are chayiv and the mothers are pater. V'chol mitzvahs ha'av al habein. Now any mitzvahs to the father that are upon the son, meaning to say mitzvahs in the realm of kibbud av ha'em, echad anoshim v'echad noshim chayavin, both men and women, meaning in this case both sons and daughters, chayavin, they are equally chayiv in those kinds of mitzvahs. V'chol mitzvahs aseh shehazman grama, any mitzvahs aseh, positive commandments that are zman grama, that are time bound, anoshim chayavin v'noshim peturos, men are chayiv in mitzvahs aseh shehazman grama, and women are pater. V'chol mitzvahs aseh shelo hazman grama, anytime you have a positive commandment that is not time bound, echad ha'anoshim v'echad ha'anoshim chayavin, both men and women are chayiv. V'chol mitzvahs lo saseh bein shazman grama, bein shelo azman grama. Anytime you have a negative commandment of mitzvahs lo saseh, whether it's time-bound or not, echad ha'anashim ve'echad ha'anashim chayavin, both men and women are equally chayiv. Chutz, with the following exceptions: mibal takeh, from the prohibition not to round the corners of one's head, to the cutting of the payas. That's a prohibition only on men, not on women. Ubal tashchis, and the prohibition to destroy the beard. That's a prohibition on men and not women. Uval tatame lemesim, and also the prohibition of becoming tamei meis on kohanim. That's only on kohanim who are men, not women that are the daughters of kohanim. And the Gemara says, "My kol mitzvahs haben ala av." What does the first line of the Mishnah mean when it says all mitzvahs of the son which are upon the father? Ilema, if you're going to say it means kol mitzvahs de mechayiv baro lemebad liaba, all commandments that a son has to do for his father. So noshim peturos, would women be patur from that? Of course not. Vatanya, but we learned in a brayso, ish, the pasuk says ish, ein lielo ish. I only know that this halacha pasuk is ish imo v'aviv tiro, that a person needs to fear his father and mother. I only know that it's a man. Isha minayin, how do we know this applies to women as well, to the daughters as well? Keshu omer ish imo v'aviv tiro, when the pasuk says ish imo v'aviv tiro, and it says it in the plural, harekan shnayim, that refers to both of them. It refers to both the sons and the daughters. And so the Gemara explains, Amar Rav Yehuda says, Hachi Kamar, this is what our Mishnah means to say, Kol mitzvahs haben hamutalos al ha'av, all mitzvahs of the son that the father is obligated to do for the son, lasos levino, to do for his son, anoshim chayav, and the men are chayiv, meaning the fathers are chayiv, v'noshim peturos, and the women are patur, meaning to say the mothers are exempt. And the Gemara explains further, Tanina lahad tana rabbanan, our Mishnah is saying the same thing that we find in the following brisa. Ha'av chayiv bivino, the father is chayiv in terms of his son lamulo, to give him bris milah, v'lifdoso, and to redeem him, ulalamdo Torah, and to teach him Torah, lasio isha, and to marry him off to a wife, ulalamdo umnas, and to teach him a craft, a profession, v'yesh omer, and some say afla shito b'mayim, even chayiv, the father is even chayiv to teach him how to swim in water. And so again, the idea is all of these obligations are upon the father and not the mother. Rabbi Yehuda says, Kol sheinu melamed es beno umnas, anyone who doesn't teach a son a craft, a way to make a parnasa, melamdo listos, it's like teaching him how to rob. The Gemara says, listos al kadaitach, do you really think it's like teaching him how to rob? Ela ki'ilu melamdo listos, rather it means it's as if he's teaching him how to rob, how to steal, because if he doesn't have a way to make money in a legitimate fashion, that is what is going to happen. And the Gemara continues at the two dots, Lamulo minolan, from where do we know that the father is obligated in bris milah for his son, Dechsiv, as it's written in the pasuk, Vayomol Avraham es Yitzchak beno, it says Avram gave the bris milah to Yitzchak his son. And the Gemara says, in a situation where the father did not fulfill his obligation, he didn't give a bris milah, so the court has the obligation to give a bris milah to the child, Dechsiv, as it's written, Himol lachem kol zochar, give a bris milah to all males. And let's say the court did not take care of that obligation, they did not give a bris milah to the child, then he has to take care of the bris milah for himself. T'chsiv, as it's written, it says if you have an individual who's a male who did not have the bris milah, he is going to be cut off from the nation. And the Gemara continues, how do we know that she, the mother, is not chayiv to give the son a bris milah? D'chsiv, as it's written, kasher tziva oso elokim, when it's talking about Avram, it says that God commanded him, and we understand that to mean oso velo osa, commanded him and not her, meaning not Sarah. And the Gemara says, Eshkechan miyad, so we understand that that's true at that point in time in history. L'doros minol, and how do we know that this is true for all generations? Tana devei Rabbi Yishmael, it was taught in the yeshiva of Rabbi Yishmael, Kol makom shenemar tzav, any time that the Torah uses the term tzav, like over here, it said kasher tziva oso elokim, eino elo zeros miyadu l'doros. What that means to say is, number one, zeros, it's encouraging the person to be quick to fulfill the mitzvah, and also it means miyadu l'doros, it means for all generations. How do we know that it means these two things? Zeros d'chsiv, how do we know that it means that the person has to do it quickly? V'tzavet, because it's written in the pasuk by Yehoshua, v'tzaves Yehoshua, v'chazkeyu v'yamtzeu, it says that you should command, you should instruct Yehoshua, this is in Sefer Devarim, v'chazkeyu v'yamtzeu, you have to strengthen him. That's the idea, that it should be done quickly with zeal. Miyadu l'doros, and how do we know that it has to be done now and in all generations? whenever we use the word sav, Tichsiv, because it's written in the pasuk, this is in Sefer Bamidbar, it says, Min hayom asher tziva Hashem v'holo l'dorosechem. It says, from the day that Hashem commanded and onwards for all generations, you see that the word tziva is used for something that is for all generations. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. We said above, liftoso, that the father has an obligation to redeem his firstborn son. Minolan, from where do we know this? Tichsiv, as it's written, Kol b'chor banecha tifta. It says all of your firstborn sons you have to redeem. Now, if you have a situation where the father did not redeem his firstborn son, so the son himself has to redeem himself. T'chsiv, as it's written, tipodeh, meaning to say, you can read it as tipodeh, that's going on the son himself, he has to redeem himself. Now, how do we know that she, the mother, is not obligated to redeem her son? T'chsiv, as it's written, tipodeh tifta, again, it can be read as tipodeh, and we understand that as follows, Kol shemitzuva liftos es atzmo, anybody who's commanded to redeem himself, mitzuva liftos es acherim, would also be commanded to redeem others. V'chol she'eno mitzuva liftos es atzmo, but anybody who's not commanded to redeem himself, or in this case the mother, there's no concept of redemption of herself, of firstborn females, so eno mitzuva liftos acherim, so she is not commanded to redeem others, she doesn't have to redeem her son. Now, how do we know that she is not obligated to redeem herself? T'chsiv, as it says, tifte tipode kol she'acherim mitzuvim liftos, means anybody who others are obligated to redeem him, mitzuva liftos es atzmo, has to redeem himself. V'chol she'ein acherim mitzuvim liftos, but if it's somebody that others do not have to redeem, meaning to say girls, ein mitzuva liftos es atzmo, so that person does not have to redeem himself or herself, and that's why the mother doesn't have the obligation to redeem herself. Now, how do we know that others don't have to redeem her? How do we know there is no obligation upon the parents to redeem their firstborn girl? The Yomar Kra, because the pasuk says, Kol bechor bonecha tifta, it uses the word bonecha, your sons, and we understand that to mean bonecha v'lo benosecha, it means your sons and not your daughters. This halacha, this mitzvah of redemption, doesn't apply to the daughters. And the Gemara continues, Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, who liftos uveno liftos. Let's say you have a situation where he needs to be redeemed and his son also needs to be redeemed. He was not redeemed by his own father, but now he has an obligation not only to redeem himself, he has to redeem his own son. Who kodem livno, so he comes before his son. The obligation upon himself takes precedence. Rabbi Yehuda says, bino kodmo. Actually, the obligation of his son is the one that takes precedence. Shezem mitzvaso alavid, because in this case, the mitzvah is on his father. V'zem mitzvahs bino alavid. In this case, the mitzvah of his son is upon him. Meaning to say, the primary obligation to redeem himself was really on his own father, who didn't fulfill that obligation. But the primary obligation to redeem his son is on him, and therefore his son actually takes precedence. And the Gemara explains further, Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah says, Hakol modim, everybody admits, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video, on Daf Chav Tes Amud Beis.